It's the 30th edition of the African Cup of Nations, and it's all happening in Equatorial Guinea. There was a late switch of hosts in the wake of concerns over the Ebola virus, but it's now all systems go as the 16 nations line up for the biennial continental tournament. We bring you the previews, views, action and reactions of players and fans. Hello and a very warm welcome to MatchPoint, CCTV's new program that brings you all things African sport. I'm Mahia Mutua, also coming up this half hour.
There's a couple of things that we need to work on, of which fitness, strength, and then defense breakdown.
Uganda Rugby Cranes pin hope on new South African coach. And skater Carolina Costner banned for 16 months in ex-boyfriend's doping case. Well, the Africa Cup of Nations is finally here. The months of waiting drew to an end this afternoon in Bata as the host nation Equatorial Guinea took on Congo-Brazzaville. That match is now over. We can update you on the scores. It ended at 1-1. Emilio Nsue scored the first goal of the tournament for the hosts in the 16th minute before Thievi Bifuma equalized for Congo right at the death. So the first match ending 1-1. Well, the heat is on for Algeria coach Christian Gourcuff. With the eyes of an entire nation on his squads, every cross, dribble and tackle in Equatorial Guinea, the North Africans come to a competition for the first time as favorites.
The memory of Algeria's impressive run at last year's FIFA World Cup, where they reached the last 16, still reverberates across the continent. It is this momentum that Africa's top-ranked team in the world carries into the Cup of Nations. Haunted by their early exit from the 2013 edition, where they failed to win a point, the team knows they have their work cut out if they are to qualify for the quarterfinals. Ghana, South Africa and Senegal await them in Mongomo, in what has been called the Group of Death.
Those are three quality opponents. Once the draw happened, we knew we were in a very difficult group and we had to accept it.
After missing the 2012 edition and a poor 2013 showing, the Desert Foxes breezed through qualifying, winning 5 of their 6 matches, setting themselves up as pre-tournament favourites come kickoff. Whatever the playing conditions, Algeria can count on the skills of star midfielders Yassine Brahimi and Sofiane Feghouli as they seek a second Cup of Nations title. Celestine Carone, CCTV.
Well, now, the winner of AFCON 2015 will definitely come from Group C. That's the confident prediction of former South Africa striker Shaun Bartlett. Bartlett believes South Africa can continue their upturn in form in Equatorial Guinea and feels Algeria will definitely be their biggest threat. Our reporter Dan Williams caught up with the former Charlton and Kaizer Chiefs forward in Durban this week.
The familiar figure of one of South Africa's greatest football exports. Shaun Bartlett was once a feared striker. Despite the move into coaching with South Africa's second-tier side Golden Arrows, it's clear his passion for the game remains. And even he has been astonished by Bafana Bafana's recent transformation that saw the side qualify for AFCON 2015.
It's good to see the national team Bafana Bafana doing well again, because we need to be on top of our game. We need to be near the top of the rankings, not just continentally, but also I think on the FIFA rankings. So I think it was, including myself, it was a big surprise for us qualifying out of the group with Nigeria. I think we no longer have that complex where we're looking at players across the line and thinking they're better than us.
Much of the credit for South Africa's turnaround has been credited to this man, the coach Ephraim Shakes Mashaba. Bartlett, who once played under Shakes, believes the players have re-established a respect in the Bafana shirt.
You can never discount previous coaches, but I think the current one has definitely brought something back into the national team where the players are taking a little bit more pride in what they're doing for the national team. The confidence will always be critical, and the players now, you can see, I think it's 10, 11 games, they still haven't lost under Shakes, so that's a massive boost for them going into the AFCON as well. So you just need them, get them really solid at the back, not concede goals, and I think you've got a really good chance of winning games and tournaments.
South Africa's quest remains daunting. Bafana have been grouped with Senegal, Ghana and top-ranked African team Algeria. But Bartlett has faith.
I think we can go semi-final, if not final. I think the winner will come out of the group, South Africa's group. If it's not South Africa, Algeria, I think they've got a very good chance as well. They've done really well. So I think that's probably the one obstacle we need to get over. But the winner will definitely come from South Africa's group.
Although Bartlett has been impressed with South Africa's recent resurgence, he does have a word of caution for the future. He believes the country's youngsters continue to be let down by inadequate coaching.
The talent is slowly coming through, like I said, but also my major critic and also concern in this country is not having the proper structures in place. And obviously we know post-2010 everybody expected a lot of things to happen, didn't happen, and for me that's still a big disappointment. I think the talent that we have available in this country need to be nurtured from a very young age. Not 16, it needs to start from 9 years old. We've got the facilities, we've got the finances, we've got everything that needs to happen for a country like this to excel. We just need to put the people and structures in place.
But for now, the focus is on Equatorial Guinea. Pride may have been restored in the Bafana shirt. The question is whether the team can kick on to glory and claim Africa's top prize. Dan Williams, CCTV, Durban, South Africa.
Right now, joining us to discuss Southern Africa's prospects at AFCON is Dan Williams, whose story we just saw there. He joins us live from Johannesburg. Dan, now Zambia kicks off its campaign on Sunday against DR Congo. How important is it for the Chipolopolo to kick off on a high?
Yeah, it would be very important indeed, of course, if they can kick off on a high, because it means that you've got now 1 foot into the next round, and that's, of course, the goal for all of the teams involved. Added to that, of course, for Zambia, they've got tougher challenges ahead, the likes of Cape Verde and Tunisia, of course. So it's important, certainly, that they don't lose that opening match. But there are some concerns around that Zambian team. The fact of the matter is that they've only had the one warm-up game, that a 1-0 reverse to South Africa here in Johannesburg. So there is a fear that perhaps they're a little undercooked going into this match. And also added to that, logistically, it seems like there's been some failings as well. They only arrived in Equatorial Guinea on Friday. So there is no chance really for them to get used to the conditions either. So all round, there are some concerns in the build-up for Zambia. But of course, all that will be forgotten if they kick off with a win against the DRC.
Now, Dan, looking back to 2013, one of the reasons that Zambia gave in failing to not just defend their title, but even get to the second round was that they were placed in a difficult group. How does it look for them this time around?
Yeah, of course. Back in 2013, they were in with Burkina Faso, the eventual finalists, as well as Nigeria, the eventual winners, and along with Ethiopia too. So it was a very difficult group indeed. But even then, they came away with 3 draws. They were unbeaten and were just unlucky not to make it through. This time round, you would think on paper it would be a lot easier than that, of course, but you know, that might also be misleading. After all, they're in a group with Tunisia, who are knocking on the door of the FIFA rankings top 20, so that's going to be a very difficult challenge for them indeed, as well as Cape Verde, of course, who they know very well. They were drawn in the qualifying group to get to Equatorial Guinea. They beat them 1-0 at home, lost 2-1 away. So those two teams know each other very well, and of course Cape Verde being the higher ranked team of the two. So that's going to be difficult too. So then we look at the DRC as well. And the DRC, of course, a number of Zambian players, of course, play in the DRC. The likes of Rainford Kalaba, of course, their captain. So there's going to be a lot of local rivalries, of course, there as well. So it's going to be, I think, quite a tricky proposition still for Zambia, despite the fact that it would, on paper, look a bit easier. And add to that, of course, they don't have the magic of Hervé Renard this time round either.
All right, Dan, finally, let's talk about the man actually leading Zambia, Honor Janza. He's one of the few African coaches at this AFCON tournament, and he led the country, obviously, through a very good qualifying campaign. Do you think he'll be under any pressure to replicate the former man Hervé Renard and his success at the team?
Yeah, I think there will be pressure on him, and I think that pressure is already beginning to show. This last week or so, he's been talking to the media, and it's been hitting out and criticising the Zambian FA for not giving him a full-time contract. He is, of course, the interim coach, so he's not happy with that situation. The Zambian FA, for their part, have told him just to concentrate on these difficult games coming up. But we've seen this situation before, and it often transfers to the team. The likes of Stephen Keshi, of course, in Nigeria, and often it does. It upsets the team. If there are a certain kind of bit of upset in the boardroom, the team often underplay. So we have seen that situation before. He'll hope it'll have a galvanising pattern for the team rather, and go the other way. And of course, Equatorial Guinea, of course, has got a lot of happy memories given what happened back there in 2012. So there are a number of factors that they'll be hoping to count on. But if they get it wrong and if they go home too early, then of course it would. There is a lot of pressure on Janza, and that fallout would mean that no doubt he'll be potentially looking for a new job, given that he's upset his employers.
All right, Dan, I guess we'll find all that out on Sunday when Zambia finally kick off. That was Dan Williams joining us live from South Africa in Johannesburg, talking to us about Zambia and their chances at the Africa Cup of Nations. Well, as the tournament gets underway, one country that will be missing is defending champion Nigeria after they failed to qualify against all expectations. Our correspondent Deji Badmus has been finding football-loving Nigerians there, and they would choose not to follow the tournament since the Super Eagles are a no-show this time around.
Many football fans in Nigeria were really heartbroken when the Super Eagles missed the opportunity to qualify for the Nations Cup in Equatorial Guinea. As a matter of fact, some back then said they were not going to follow the competition when it begins. But now that the competition has started, the tone is changing.
I will watch all the matches at home and I won't feel bad because Nigeria is not going. Although we are the defending champion, it will be painful a little bit, but at the end of the day, we still have to watch it.
I want to watch the ball because I like good football, nothing more.
I'm an African, so I watch. Well, it's sad, first of all, that my dear nation won't be participating. It's not something we ever expected, but then because we're Africans and we always remain African, then we'll watch. The African Nations Cup is always fun to watch.
And just in case you're wondering who most of the fans will be rooting for, take a listen.
The Ivorians are a good team, so I'll be giving them my support. The Ivorians or the Ghanaians, that will be fine.
I'll follow Cote d'Ivoire because it's my team. After Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire is my team. I love their players. I love their style of playing and all that. I'll follow Cote d'Ivoire. And I really want them to win. They've been participating for some years now. And they have a lot of stars that they are playing very well. But they've not won the tournament for a while. So I will support Cote d'Ivoire and I will follow them to the final.
Ivory Coast. I'm supporting the Cote d'Ivoire, the Elephant Lion. I mean, what is it called? Of Cote d'Ivoire. The likes of the Aturi, Javio, everybody. So I'm watching Cote d'Ivoire.
It's quite sad that Nigeria is not taking part in this tournament as defending champion. Of course, the fans have put that behind them. They just want to see beautiful football. And for them, the most important thing is to see the best team win. Deji Badmus, CCTV, Lagos, Nigeria.
So, of course, unfortunately, there will be no Nigerian flavor on the pitch in Equatorial Guinea. But another nation that's not feeling the excitement is Egypt. Today's kickoff is a painful reminder of the Pharaohs' failure to qualify for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. Adel El Mahrouki has more.
In regular circumstances, Egyptians would have been long planning for tonight's game. The streets would have been empty and cafes packed with people. But not this time. Many have lost interest in this year's African Cup.
I am very sad. We won over 5 titles in the African Cup and didn't qualify 3 consecutive times. The championship will not be exciting without the Egyptian national team. I will not be keen to follow it.
We knew we wouldn't qualify long ago. We weren't focused on football in the last few years. We only cared about Egypt and security, not the African Cup. I won't watch the championship. What will I watch if Egypt is not there? I won't even take time off work to go watch the games like I used to.
But some say there is a bright side to this year's cup.
I will watch the championship. Football unites people. Without Egypt, we can really enjoy watching some good football games and talk together as friends on the game. But if it's Al Ahly and Zamalek, people become fanatic to their teams and yell. Sometimes they fight. If it's Egypt, we get tensed in the game. But this year, football could be enjoyable.
Egypt's golden team, led by former team manager Hassan Shahata, has monopolized the title from 2006 to 2010. Since the 2011 revolution, domestic championships halted and many of the team's stars either retired or got injured, leaving the national team with few talents and less training. The opening game of the AFCON Cup has reminded Egyptians of their disappointment when the national team failed to qualify for the third consecutive time. Many say they will not follow the cup because the Pharaohs are not in it. But football fans say it's a competition that cannot be missed. Adel Mahoui, CCTV, Cairo.
Well, indeed, we are one match down in the Africa Cup of Nations. Burkina Faso will be taking on Gabon in a few minutes' time. We're heading to a quick break here on MatchPoint, but coming right up. Uganda's rugby cranes pin hope on new South African coach Johannes Bwekes. Welcome back. Now, after a disastrous 2014, Uganda Rugby is eager to get back to the helm. The team has brought in Johannes Bwekes as coach from South Africa. Bwekes is hopeful he can turn around the fortunes of a country that won only once in 4 outings last year. Leon Senyange reports.
Once African champions, Uganda is now languishing in the continent's lowest rugby tier. Regional success has also been hard to come by. The country has failed to reclaim the regional Elgon Cup title in duels with rivals Kenya.
We did not capitalize on the win we had back then. We did not use that as a tool to get more rugby into schools, more rugby into the country. So we kind of lost out there, and the effect came 5-7 years later when this, the standard is beginning to go down because we don't have the depth coming from below.
Promotion to Tier A will be Uganda's biggest priority. With success previously achieved under South African coaches, the local federation has again turned to a coach from down south. Johannes Bwekes becomes the third South African to take the top coaching job.
The last couple of years that no South African or coach from another country was here, standards might have dropped because the guys aren't exposed so much international quality. But I'm definitely going to get that quality up.
Bwekes hit the ground running, training with the national and club players. And the 47-year-old says he already has a plan to turn things around.
There's a couple of things that we need to work on, of which fitness, strength, and then defense breakdown is possibly, and then the handling skills, although that's not too bad, are the things that we will concentrate on.
Uganda hosts a Six Nation Championship later in July. A contest with Kenya will be lined up as well.
My job is to win the competition that's ahead, and that's what I'm planning on doing. The important thing for me is to get the players to buy into that. They need to buy into the same, need to have the same belief that I have.
Uganda's rugby may have hit rock bottom on the international stage, but the local federation now feels the introduction of yet another South African could bring back the winning mentality and resolve to a national team desperate to get back to the top. Leon Sanyange, CCTV, Kampala.
Looking ahead to next year, Rio de Janeiro Mayor Eduardo Paes has inaugurated an Olympic gymnastics training center. The facilities will be available for athletes in the run-up for the Games and to warm up during the competition. The center was built by the local Olympic Organizing Committee within the HSBC warm-up arena in Barra de Tijuca in the west of Rio de Janeiro, where a large part of the Games and athletes' accommodation will be based. Rio 2016 Organizing Committee President Carlos Arthur Nuzman also praised the future world-class training center at the opening.
We have a national training center, which I know is going to be one of the best in the world. It is part of the warm-up center for the Olympic Games, which will take place very soon. This is a very important day for Brazilian sport.
Well, time for another quick break here on MatchPoint. When we come back, skater Carolina Costner banned for 16 months in ex-boyfriend's doping case. Olympic figure skating bronze medalist and 2012 world champion Carolina Costner was handed a 16-month ban after Italian officials found her guilty of assisting ex-boyfriend Alex Schwarzer in covering up his doping. Schwarzer, an Italian race walker who won gold in the 50 kilometers walk at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, was banned for 3.5 years after failing a drug test in 2012. Costner admitted lying to officials when they arrived at her home looking for Schwarzer, saying that he could provide a sample for a drug test. She told them that Schwarzer was not around, but added that she did not know he was using performance-enhancing drugs.
These 3 weeks were the hardest of my life because they always say that doping makes you stronger. But psychologically for me, it was a killer. I had to lie to my girlfriend every day. Every day I woke up at 2, at 3, at 4, at 5 in the morning with an eye on the watch, knowing that from 6 a.m. onwards, the anti-doping controllers could come and I would have to tell my girlfriend not to open the door, because if she did, I would test positive. This was very difficult for me.
Turning to athletics now, and 3-time Boston Marathon winner Rita Jeptor this week made an appearance at Kenya's Athletics Federation to answer charges relating to a failed out-of-competition drug test last year. Jeptor tested positive for EPO last September, weeks before she claimed her second Chicago Marathon title. Coach Claudio Berardelli and her former manager Federica Rosa also appeared at the hearing, with Rosa quick to distance himself from the athlete. Berardelli maintains that he is innocent of assisting the athlete in doping. Last Friday, Kenya's Athletics Federation announced new regulations meant to curb a spike in doping cases among the country's famed distance runners. Athletes will now face 4-year bans with potential jail sentences for agents found to have supplied them with performance-enhancing drugs.
With Rita? Yes. I stop any relation with her when she gets positive. I have nothing to do with doping with this, and I don't want to have nothing to do, same as with Kizori. We are completely out of this and we don't want to work with them.
I'm not guilty, and I'm going back to my job. I have my athletes waiting for me, quite busy, so.
Finally, to golf, and South Africa should be doing more to promote the game in the country's poorer areas. That's the view of James Kamte, who becomes South Africa's first black player to play on the European Tour in more than 20 years. He feels so much talent in the country is wasted. Our reporter Dan Williams caught up with a man nicknamed the Cobra.
James Kamte has trodden an unusual path compared to most other professional golfers. He was no teen prodigy. Kamte instead began his career as a caddy, and he admits the transition to becoming a player was far from straightforward.
You know, it was not easy. because those days, just to be on the golf course, it was a problem, number one, if you are not caddying, because you get chased away. That's number one. And but I just kept going because I just love the game.
That devotion to golf soon became clear. In 2007, he won the first of 4 South Africa Sunshine Tour titles. He followed that up with a win on the Asia Tour, helping him to become the first black South African in over 20 years to play on the European Tour. It prompted Gary Player to announce that Campty was destined for greatness and compared him to Tiger Woods.
When Gary said what he said, it actually motivated me more because I was starting to doubt myself. Are you on a lucky roll here, or what is going on? So when Gary mentioned all those kind of things, it actually made me feel more. I could work harder, I could try more, and I could try win even in the US. I could try win anywhere in the world.
But instead of an acceleration towards more success, Campty's career stalled. A run of injuries saw a slump in form, but he's confident he can turn it around.
My only thing now is just to win a tournament. If I win a golf tournament right now, I think I'll be more relaxed and probably that's all what I work towards.
Although James Campty's immediate focus is on a return to the winner's circle, he also has his eye on the bigger picture, and he feels much more could be done in order to promote the sport in South Africa's poorer areas.
Golf development in South Africa is very poor. That's number one. And no one is actually making an effort to lift up the sport, and it actually it drains me to travel around South Africa and watch these kids, and you just sit there, you're helpless, and you just cannot watch to see these kind of kids that their talent goes to drain.
But Campty remains positive, and he feels the country has the talent to uncover a black major winner in the future.
I don't see no reason why there shouldn't be one, and I'm sure, within a space of time, we'll get as you say, a major golfer, or even someone who will go out and win on the European Tour or on the USPGA Tour.
Campty remains focused on improving his own game, but he hopes to make the road for those that follow a whole lot easier to travel. Dan Williams, CCTV, Johannesburg.
That does it for this week's edition of MatchPoint. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, we'd love to hear from you. You can send your feedback to matchpoint@cctv.com. That's our email address. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa, or stay in touch with Twitter. The handle is @CCTV News Africa. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Mahe Mutua. As always, we leave you with images from some of the sporting highlights this past week.
The winner is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Bonjour.